I'm live. I'm not as professional as my husband with this. He had to help me set this up and get me lighting and stuff so you can see my face. Anyway, happy Sunday. I hope everyone had a great, relaxing weekend. I sure did. It was nice to catch up with some friends and just relax today before the week starts. Hi, guys. So I'm just going to jump into it. I just want to share a little bit about what's been going on in my health the past year since last September, so a little over a year, and just see if it can help anyone else. If anyone else is going through the same kind of stuff, you know, we're getting up to 40, and things are changing in our bodies, and things are changing with everything in our lives, right? We're just at a different season, so just wanted to share a little bit to you. My pits are sweating. This live stuff is nerve-wracking. Josh needs to do it for me. So go back to September of 2018. I had stopped nursing McGuire, who had just turned 2. So this is 3 months after stopping nursing him, right? So hormones are already kind of playing a little game and trying to play catch up. And, you know, too much information for if any guys are watching, but my cycles are starting to get regular, and I, starting to kind of get back in the momentum of, okay, not being pregnant and not being nursing. Well, I've been pregnant or nursing a baby for the past now 12 years of my life, right? Because when I'd stop nursing, within a few months I'd get pregnant. And so that's kind of where I was last September. Everything was just kind of getting back to normal. So in September, I started feeling sick. I started having really bad nausea, really bad diarrhea. It started with a migraine first, and I have never really had headaches, let alone a migraine. I didn't even know what was happening at the time. Lights were making me sensitive. I was really irritable. My ears were hurting. I literally thought I had an ear infection because the pain started right in my ears and would wrap around my head to the back. And so just, Googling everything, of course, getting past everything that's telling you that you're dying, just reading kind of like symptoms, I figured out that was a migraine. So migraine, nausea, diarrhea. I've always dealt with kind of like heart palpitations and genetics and just whatever. I have like a normal palpitation kind of that happens to me. Well, that was getting worse, happening more often. I was getting vertigo, which was weird to me. It's kind of just like out of the blue, in the middle of doing whatever. I would just be standing there or whatever and just need to hold on to something for a minute and just feel like, whoa, kind of like the ground was moving for a second. I would get chills. I'd have night sweats, just wake up in the middle of the night, specifically like 3 o'clock in the morning. I would wake up and just be sweaty and uncomfortable, and I'd wake up in a panic. I was having panic attacks, just anxiety throughout the day, mostly in the morning, not feeling myself mentally. I was having crazy vivid dreams, like just off the wall, the kind of dreams that you can't really remember in the morning, but it's like, I really want to tell someone about what I just dreamed about, but I can't remember what it was about. I know it was crazy, but it was just all these strange things, like skin was tingling, like at random places, like my fingertips would start to tingle, my end of my nose would be tingling, just a bunch of weird things that didn't really fit together. And so I went to a regular doctor. He wanted me to go to different specialists. So I saw a neurologist, had a brain MRI because they wanted to see what was causing migraines. Brought a water because I'm smart. Brain MRI was fine. Went to a different kind of neurologist to test my nerves. I went to gastro to check with the nausea and the diarrhea. Over the span of September, October, November, December, I had lost over 10 pounds. Basically from the nausea and diarrhea. Never vomiting, just could not hold anything in me. Was when I'd eat or drink for those few days a month. So it happened like right in the middle of my cycle. And it happened for 2 or 3 days a month. that right then I'd have extreme, all those symptoms would be extreme right then. And no one could figure it out. I mean, there was 2 times in the middle of the night where it was so panic inducing, these kinds of symptoms, I knew I was dying. I was having a heart attack, I was having a stroke, I was having whatever the worst case scenario is, that's what was happening to me. And so at least 2 times at night, Josh and or my mom would take me to the emergency room. We even called an ambulance one time, coming here and making sure I legitimate thought I was dying. And so they just make sure I wasn't dying. And ER doctors are great at making sure that you're not about to die, but they don't diagnose other things that are going on. So, I'd go to the ER, they check on my labs, everything always came back normal. All my blood work, when I was in the midst of the diarrhea and nausea, some of the electrolytes might be a little lower, just the normal way your body works when you're a little dehydrated. But every test that any doctor did came back normal. But I knew what was going on. It wasn't normal. It wasn't a good thing. I knew that I needed to be my best advocate and still go and figure out what was happening and what was going on. And in my mind, I was like, well, it's happening the same days each month. And what else happens over the month? What else in our women's bodies is a monthly cycle? Hormones, right? Like, I was like, there has to be something hormonal based about it that is triggering all these things. That's really not, when you Google the stuff or when you Google hormone stuff, it doesn't really jump out at you. It's not something people talk about. I'm only 30, how old am I? 37, 38, 38. So, you don't think about hormones at this point. But I knew my body was trying to tell me something, right? So when it came to all the first month that happened, I was like, oh, just a virus, right? The second month that happened, what is going on? Third month, fourth month, it was really wearing me down because number one, no one could figure out what was wrong. Number two, I knew it was going to continue because nothing else was changing. I was feeling very depressed about it. I was feeling super anxious about it. Even though the doctors were saying, you're not dying, you still feel like you're dying. Like something is wrong with me and no one can figure it out. And I'm certain that a lot of you have been there where you're just like, something's wrong and where's the answer? Can't find an answer, right? The anxiety was constant. The depression was constant. And I've never dealt with depression before. I've been able to, it just hasn't hit me. And so when I would tell Josh, this is how I feel, I feel like those commercials where you wake up in the morning and you don't want to get out of bed, the things that you used to find joy doing, you don't find joy anymore. Or, you look at my life, how can I not want to get out of bed and play with my kids and do this thing? Well, you have this anxiety and whatever I do today is not going to be good enough. And these thoughts would snowball. And whatever I do is going to be a mistake. I'm going to make something worse. My energy is being sucked anyway because I don't feel good physically. Mentally, I'm waking up in a panic. I'm not getting good sleep. I'm just worried and concerned about everything. What if I die today and leave my kids forever? All these things was always the worst case scenario. And, I would pray and I would just ask God to show me the answers and ask him to take it away and what's going on. Why is my body betraying me? How can we find the answers? Where should I go? Like I said, none of the specialists, none of the other doctors could put a finger on it. They all tried to, and they were all the doctors were very well-meaning. I always felt taken care of by them. It's just their specialty is their specialty. And I was spectrum, everything, right? Holistic. And so finally, I talked to one of my awesome friends, Danae Widener, and she was like, Sarah, hormones, you and I know it's your hormones. Here's this doctor. He's a functionally based medical doctor, so legit, real doctor, hospital privileges, real MD, and he's functionally, what was that? He's functionally based. And so he looks at the whole body as a system and how things interact, right? Walked into his office, and within 50 seconds of sitting down at the chair, I said, this is all that's going on with me. This is what's been going on the past 4 or 5 months. This is who I've seen, who hasn't been able to help me. Like, can you help me? And right after I said everything, he looked at me and said, Sarah, you know the answer. You just told me it's your hormones. It's your hormones. And I'm like, oh, the ugly crying in his office. This doctor is a Navy doc, like a retired Navy doctor. And so he's like, what's going on? But I'm like ugly crying, like, you don't understand. And at that day in particular, I was having the nausea and I was having the diarrhea and I'd had a migraine all day. So like I was in the thick of it. And then thankfully my friend helped me direct me to this doctor. And like, he was sweet about it, but he brought me tissues and I was just ugly crying and thanking him for just hearing me. Right. So he brought me a chart and said, we've all seen the phase chart of your month and how things fluctuate in different hormones that trigger different things. And he said, you need progesterone. And I was like, okay, just whatever you say at this point, because you listened to me and I feel you're here with me in this, I'm going to do. And so I did a saliva test for hormones, blood test for hormones. He prescribed me progesterone, bioidentical and easily assimilated into your body. And I've been taking progesterone now since I think it's February. And it's been amazing. What's really funny to me is that, over the 11 years of my pregnancies / nursing babies, I've had 2 miscarriages, right? One was early, 7 weeks, and one was 11 weeks. And then the one after my 11 week, I was pregnant with McGuire, and we knew to give me progesterone to help fluff everything up and make everything sticky. And so thinking back on everything, I'm like, that happened during my pregnancy as I was low in progesterone. I needed the progesterone. So it just kind of full circle made sense to me. I just want to make sure I cover it all. So within the first month of taking it, I would say the first 2 weeks of taking the progesterone, I felt like my old self. I felt like a real person again. Physically, I had a scattering of a little bit of the feeling of nausea, like for a few hours one morning or whatever. But within a month or 2 of taking the progesterone, all the physical signs and symptoms were gone. Like the progesterone from this doctor that God had sent me to, helped heal me physically. Like the physical stuff was good. The night sweats, the tingling, just all of it. The nausea and diarrhea, that was the worst. And the migraines, I mean, God bless you who has migraines. It's the worst. So with all that being said, that was a crazy over 5-month period. Got my answer for my physical health, had the progesterone, have been on the progesterone for months and months and months. And so I kind of want to stop here and just say that physically I was better. I was great, right? And mentally I was still in this deep, dark funk. And I didn't understand why, because I was already physically better. I felt like I was doing the best I could for my body, got the answers that we needed, right? Well, mentally, I still had the depression. I still had anxiety. I was still going worst case scenario, maybe not with my health as much because I was feeling healthy, but maybe more of just like what I'm doing. I'm not good enough. All those things we talk and say to ourselves that we would never tell someone else, because it's just so negative and so mean. Like I was mean to myself and doubting myself, and it had nothing to do with anyone around me. I surround myself with wonderful people. I have the best friends and husband, but the mental stuff was still bad. It was still heavy and dark. And so I want to stop here tonight, because tomorrow, actually on Tuesday night, I really want to share. I'm going to start crying already. Mentally, I was still broken, but God came and healed me. And he healed me over the summer. And I'm going to cry now so I don't cry on Tuesday night when I tell you the story. Physically, he healed me, and mentally, he needed me to do something more. And I'll share with you on Tuesday night, probably around the same time, my spiritual and mental healing that came in June of this past year. So thanks for joining me, and we're going to end this on me crying. Hope everyone has a wonderful Sunday night and begin your Monday week off just renewed and at peace. So good night, everybody. Thanks.